Now, Kirk Cousins just had one of his worst games in his entire career this past Sunday against the Chargers. He threw four picks, and I feel like all four of those picks were some of the worst decision making and just overall velocity on the ball I've ever seen. Some of those balls, man, it was like he was throwing a pillow to the defense, man. It was just awful. It was ugly. I don't know how any Atlanta Falcons fans can really back up Kirk Cousins right now. You gotta be clamoring for just Michael Penix to get out there, man. And, Falcons are currently on a 3-game losing streak after being ahead in the NFC South with a pretty good lead. Now the Bucks are right there with them, even though technically they have the tiebreaker right now with beating the Bucks earlier in the year. But through this 3-game losing streak, Kirk Cousins has thrown 6 interceptions and no touchdowns. And the topic really this past week has been, should Michael Penix start over Kirk Cousins, and should Kirk take a seat on the bench? I think it's a really interesting question to ask because I feel like there's pros and cons to both, absolutely. So let's get into it. So for this upcoming week, the Atlanta Falcons are going to Minnesota. Kirk Cousins makes his return to Minnesota. Now, I don't think you bench him for this upcoming week, and I don't think they're going to. It's already Thursday. No reports have come out. Kirk is going to start this game, and you paid him all that money. I feel like you don't owe him to get a shot at revenge at his former team, but you kind of want to do the right thing and at least give him the opportunity to show up on his former team. You know what I mean? So I feel like keeping him in the fold for another week is definitely the move. But I'm telling you, man, if he doesn't perform, if he lays another egg, if he looks awful, you 110% bench him for the rest of the year. If he looks awful against his former team, with everything on the line, with everybody criticizing him, with how he's been playing, like, dude, if you can't come out and put a solid game together against your former team, you should have all the motivation in the world, then you just got to put him down for the rest of the year. Seriously. For some reason, the talk on X, the talk on certain TV shows and networks, I feel like it's kind of a divisive question. I really think it's simple. Kirk Cousins wasn't playing against the Vikings this weekend. I would have benched him right after the Chargers game and just throw Michael Penix in there. I feel like I've seen enough of Kirk Cousins this past 3 weeks, and Tampa Bay's not stopping. I feel like they're coming for that NFC South first position, and the Falcons have to do something fast because it's a sinking ship right now. Straight up, it's a sinking ship. So you have to act fast, be proactive, and let's see what Michael Penix has, man. A lot of rookie QBs have looked pretty good this year. I was really excited to see Michael Penix come into the NFL. Big arm, lefty. I want to see what he's got, man. I want to see what he's got with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, this offense. It's a good offense. It's a good offense, man. And I just feel like it's been not utilized correctly for a large portion of this year, and I just feel like it's time to switch it up. Raheem Morris has to make a move, and it's all kind of riding on this upcoming week, but we'll have to see, man. You let me know in the comments down below, who would you start for the remainder of the year, or do you agree with me on kind of waiting to see what Kirk does against his former team? If he does great, keep him in there. If he lays another egg, get him out of there. Let me know what you would do if you were Raheem Morris. But that raises another question too on why they drafted Michael Penix, because of course Kirk Cousins got a massive contract from the Falcons, and then they made one of the most controversial draft picks in the last few years with using their top 10 pick on Michael Penix, even though they just paid Kirk Cousins. It kind of makes you wonder that maybe they paid Kirk Cousins that money And then they brought him in and they saw that he wasn't healthy, or they saw that he wasn't the same guy. I feel like all of those questions are very possible. All those theories could be accurate because Kirk Cousins, I don't know, man. Like, I know he was good for the first part of this year, but the last 3, 4 games, he's looked awful. Like, completely awful. Like, so I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know if this is the new kind of floor for Kirk Cousins' play. But, a lot of people were scrutinizing that Michael Penix pick. Might be a genius pick. I don't think it was a genius kind of overall maneuver, what they did as a whole in the last offseason of acquiring 2 QBs. But maybe drafting Michael Penix might be a great pick after all. And I just want to see him play, man. And for all the people saying that you can't throw Michael Penix in there, you have to keep Kirk Cousins in there, I don't really get that mindset. I don't get that logic at all. Michael Penix has essentially redshirted an entire year almost. I feel like he's learned a lot the past 14, 15 weeks, training camp, preseason included. I want to see what he's got, man. I want to see what he's got. It's not like you're throwing him to the wolves. It's not like this is a bare bones offense. There's some pieces. He's had a minute to practice with everyone. I feel like Kirk has taught him a lot. I feel like he's learned a lot from Kirk. So I want to see what he's got in there and, just to add some mobility to this offense too. Like, Kirk Cousins is essentially a statue in the pocket, and Michael Penix isn't this mobile, crazy quarterback, but he can at least move in the pocket, extend plays a little bit. I feel like this offense just needs a little spark. It needs a little juice, and I really, really believe Michael Penix can offer that to the Falcons, man, especially with that arm. Man, I just want to see that lefty arm just making plays, man. Really, really excited to see Michael Penix play. Let me know if you agree with me. Are you a Michael Penix fan? Do you think he would add some juice to this offense? Or do you not believe in Michael Penix? Another thing about Michael Penix was, kind of his injury history. Had a lot of injuries in college. A lot of people questioned his durability, but man, I guess we'll find out at some point throughout his NFL career if those questions hold up or not. And let me know if you think the Falcons are going to make the playoffs for this upcoming year. They were a heavy favorite to make the playoffs, and especially with the lead they had earlier on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But 3-game losing streak, things kind of go array quite fast, man. Pretty fast. Honestly, if I had to make a prediction right now, it all comes down to this upcoming game against the Vikings. If Kirk flops, then I really think Tampa Bay is going to overtake them and make it to the playoffs instead of the Falcons. But if Kirk somehow puts on a good game and they win, then yeah, of course, I think the Falcons can bounce back and can hold the lead. But regardless, huge game for the Falcons. Huge game for Kirk Cousins and his career with the Atlanta Falcons. So let me know what you think about that and everything else in between. If you made this far, please subscribe and help out your boy a ton. That's all I got for right now. Peace.
And a touchback. Well, partner, it looks like it all comes down to this, and when this team finds itself in these kinds of situations, that man right there is almost always the one they turn to.
Yeah, they do, and rightly so. That's why they pay.
Intercepted. Touchdown as we near the end of this one. That may... Well, it played out as if it was a pick, but upstairs they want to take another look to confirm it.
Let's remember, even though it was an interception by the defense, we got to judge it just like we would an offensive receiver. Does he have possession of the football? We'll find out.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands.
So the boys in the booth, they want to make doubly sure the call
was correct. Under 2 minutes, they decided, hey, we need to take another look at this. But the play stands as is.
Yeah, Jim, it was a good challenge upstairs by the officials. It was not clear-cut, but once we have seen the play in slow-motion replay, well, now it's clear-cut now.
The Broncos back deep, ready to receive.
Thompson's going to test the coverage here. Muscles through the defender.